Flamingo Books. Social Studies with Case Studies Series 8. History. Unit 1, Our Past 3, Modern India. Chapter 1. Studying of Modern Period. Introduction. The history of most of the countries is divided into 3 periods: ancient, medieval and modern. This is done so as to show that the society, economy, politics and culture of each period is distinct for that span. In 1817, James Mill divided Indian history into 3 periods: Hindu, Muslim and British. The modern period, in India, is said to have started in the 18th century. Some of the characteristic features of the modern era include industrialization, rapid progress in technology, growth of cities and greater interaction among nations. India in the 18th century was in a chaotic political condition. The Mughal Empire, which held the country together for about 3 centuries, had become weak. The country was breaking up into small independent states. Sources of the history of modern India. The abundant sources of information in this period can be divided into 2 categories: primary and secondary. Primary sources include original documents, like government reports, literary and artistic evidences, like books and paintings, and archaeological remains such as monuments and artifacts. Many of these primary sources have been preserved in archives and museums. The conclusions that are reached by historians, after studying these primary sources, are called secondary sources. These are available in the form of reports, reviews, articles and books. Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution started from England, and soon spread throughout Europe. It marked a radical change from the previous system, that is, machines replaced manual labor. The textile industry was the first to be mechanized. Inventions such as the spinning jenny, flying shuttle, water frame, power loom and cotton gin greatly increased cloth production. In course of time, all major industries were affected by this revolution. Rise of capitalism. Industrialization led to the decline of feudalism in Europe. A new system of society called capitalism was formed in its place. It was an economic system in which the means of production and distribution were privately owned and operated for profit. This system gave rise to 2 new social classes, owners and workers. One was that of the factory owners who owned the factories. Their main aim was to make maximum profits. They controlled the capital, or the money, as well as the sale of goods, and hence were called capitalists. They were a prosperous group of people and led luxurious lives. The other class comprised of workers who worked in factories. They lived in great hardship and were exploited by the factory owners. Naturally, this resulted in great discontentment among the workers. Impact on world economy. The Industrial Revolution brought about changes in all spheres of life. The most prominent social change that it brought about was the division of society into 2 main classes, the capitalists and the workers. The capitalists reaped all the gains of industrialization, while the workers remained exploited. This, however, did not continue for long. From the 19th century onwards, workers began to organize themselves into unions to protect their interests. These unions demanded more wages, shorter working hours and better working conditions. They got support from political thinkers and philosophers like Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. Impact on India. In the past 200 years, the world has become interlinked. Events occurring in one country affect other countries. India, too, was not left untouched by the effects of world revolutions. Our struggle for independence from the British rule was influenced to a great extent by the movements for freedom and equality in America, France and Russia. American Revolution. The Revolutionary era in America began in 1763, when the military threat to the colonies from France ended and Britain imposed a series of taxes, which the colonists felt were illegal. After protests in Boston, the British sent combat troops. The Americans mobilized their militia and fighting broke out in 1775. Although Loyalists were about 15 to 20% of the population, the Patriots usually controlled 80 to 90% of the territory. France played a key role in aiding the newfound Americans, financially and in providing ammunitions, as well as sending an army and a fleet that played decisive roles at Yorktown. The British could only hold a few coastal cities. The height of the Revolution came in 1776, with the unanimous Declaration of Independence by the 13 states, which formed the United States of America. French Revolution. The French Revolution, 1789 to 1799, was a vital period in the history of France and Europe as a whole. During this time, democracy replaced absolute monarchy in France, and the country's Roman Catholic Church was forced to undergo a radical restructuring. France oscillated among republic, empire, and monarchy for 75 years, after the First Republic fell to a military coup. The Revolution is widely seen as a major turning point in the history of Western democracy, from the age of absolutism and aristocracy to the age of the citizenry and dominant political force. The slogan of the French Revolution was Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, ou la mort. Liberty, equality, fraternity, or death. India in the 18th century. The 18th century is the beginning of the modern period in the history of India. The mighty Mughals lost their unity and stability after the death of Aurangzeb. Various states became independent in different parts of India. This disunity proved to be a great advantage to the European trading companies. The Western ideas had an impact on India's culture, economy, society, and her political future. The economic exploitation by the British ruined trade and industry, which ultimately brought about the deplorable state of poverty in India.